The bar music was loud and chaotic. My longtime friend and childhood buddy was still pushing his usual nonsense. "How about this one? This is right up your alley." I crossed my legs, leaned back, and let out a dry laugh, half rage, half disbelief. "So this is what you got me for saying goodbye to single life?" "My wedding present?" Anthony shifted uncomfortably, rubbing his nose. "Come on, man, this is me looking out for you. After Granddad passed, I knew those wolves at your place would pounce if there was no move in 3 months. Now it's clear they're better off tearing you apart than letting you live like this." He meant the engagement with the Zhou family. The marriage pact between the Zhou and Zhong families was arranged by our grandparents. Later, after my mom fell into postpartum depression, her rivals showed up with their kids, then dragged her through hell. She never recovered. The Zongs haven't had much contact with the Zhou family since then. Honestly, that marriage pact was never serious to begin with. 3 months ago, grandfather passed away. My stepmother brought up the old arrangement out of nowhere and started pushing hard to get it finalized. At the time, I was still observing mourning at my family home. When I came back, I found she'd already taken care of everything. So quick that all I had to do was change my shoes and head out to sign the papers. We poor Michael are doomed. From now on, we'll be leaving behind this glittering, shallow world. Anthony was still playing the drama queen. He made me sick. "Enough of this," I said, a dry laugh escaping me. "Neither Samuel nor I are saints. Who exactly do you expect to stay pure? Let's just go through the motions." My phone buzzed again, insistent and unrelenting. I glanced at the screen. Unknown number. I hung up without a second thought. The phone vibrated again. Same number as before. Nowadays, are scams this dedicated? Doing business late at night too? I answered on a whim. "Hello? Who is this?" "Michael." That voice sounded like it was biting through grit. Michael, playing guess my feelings with me now? Psychotic. I ended the call without a word. I waved them off. "Everyone's gone. I'm not interested." Anthony blinked. "What's wrong?" "Not in the mood. Fear of marriage. So what kind do you actually go for?" The phone buzzed again. Someone who knows my number, my name, Michael, and isn't holding back. Probably from the same circle. I shot back with a casual "I like them intense." I answered just as the call was about to cut out. This time, the voice came fast. "Michael. Where are you?" This time, the message was long enough for me to finally recognize it. "Samuel, my dear fiancé, during the 3 months of my grandfather's funeral, my stepmother didn't just ruin my wedding. She went after me in more ways than one. I still need to rely on the Zhou family for now. We can't afford to capsize this ship yet. I'm picking out your wedding gift, darling. Where are you?" The other end went silent. Anthony gave me a quiet thumbs up. "Over at the booth behind you. Come join me for a drink." I froze, eyes wide, and turned sharply around. Samuel narrowed his eyes at me, looked just like a jealous husband caught in the act. Anthony slowly flipped his thumb upside down. "You two aren't even married yet, and you're already checking in?" Anthony said carefully, "Shall I help you explain this?" "Explain what?" I hung up the phone. "He's here at a place like this. Looks like he comes around often. Why should I feel guilty?" "You're right. I'll handle it first." I gave him a light tap on the shoulder. Samuel was with friends, men and women together, a mixed group. I walked over and clinked glasses with him. "Out for some fun?" I asked. "Not really. I came to browse the gift shop." That made it dull. I'm not the type to get cold shoulders, so I nodded at the people around me and turned to leave, then suddenly heard a voice. "He doesn't even look at me. Why won't he look at me? Am I not good enough?" Samuel's lips stayed tight, silent as ever, but that was definitely his voice. I noticed it back when he came over to discuss our wedding plans. I think I can hear his thoughts. Funny twist. The voice comes and goes, like it needs something specific to activate. "I've got a theory." I leaned forward, bracing myself on the edge of the table, holding Samuel's gaze for a moment, letting my eyes linger just slightly on his lips. His throat moved as he swallowed. The thought came louder, unmistakably. Is he going to kiss me? Not obvious at all. Just turned his face away with a barely audible huff, still sticking to that grumpy older brother act. "See you later," I murmured into his ear. "The wedding gift. I really am picking it out. And by the way," I said, listening to the steady thud of his heartbeat, "your pulse is kind of loud." Samuel's mind was already whining again, playing the cool on the outside, flustered inside thing. Huh? Before the wedding, Michael and I need to go to both our families' homes for dinner. We'll start with Michael's family. It's a classic Chinese courtyard, winding corridors, and it took us about half an hour to get through. Samuel kept his face tight the whole way, saying nothing. My mind wouldn't stop running, even for a second. Why isn't my wife talking to me? Did he forget about the gift we talked about? Should I bring it up myself? What if that ruins my image? She smells so good. Help me. I'm gonna inch a little closer without him noticing. That jacket really suits him. He looks amazing. I should get one too. Maybe a matching pair. Stop the noise. I'd give anything to plug my ears. I've never met someone who talks this much in my life. This estate belongs to Samuel by blood. Family wasn't large, but they took this meeting seriously. You could tell they gave me full respect. Samuel's mom was a gentle woman. She grew up with my mother. After my mother passed, she came to visit me a few times. Then I went to live at the family estate under my grandfather's care. After that, we saw each other less. Looks like he's grown into such a fine young man, Luna said, cupping my face in her hands, her voice soft with emotion. It's a shame Isabella couldn't see it. Isabella was my mother's nickname. My chest tightened with a sudden ache. Samuel and I ended up sitting together naturally. Throughout dinner, he kept passing me dishes. This yellow croaker's a bit tough. Don't know how it was cooked. Those bamboo shoots are really spicy. Next time, skip them. This soup tastes sour. Were the ingredients clean? I stared at the dish in front of me, my temples pulsing. The rest of the table wore expressions edged with restraint. Luna, close by, gave him a sharp slap on the back of his head. Samuel turned to his mother, stunned. Mom! It's me, Samuel, your son. You think it's bad? Then why did you serve it to Michael? Luna smiled without a trace of warmth. Eat if you can. If not, I'll rip your mouth shut and toss you out. Don't laugh. He's the one getting punished. After all, I couldn't help it. I used the excuse of sipping soup to hide my smile. The moment the broth touched my tongue, I froze. The broth has a rich flavor, no sourness at all. I tasted each dish Samuel had passed to me, and only then realized they were all things I love. Even the fish bones had been carefully removed. I looked up and caught Samuel glancing at me sideways. He jerked his gaze away like he'd been burned, his ears turning pink. Phew, I don't think he noticed me peeking. Probably not. I used the corner of my eye. No way he could tell. Michael's so cute when he eats. Seriously, I'm hopeless. He takes his time, stops to look at every bite he likes. This meal was worth every second. I didn't know whether to keep eating or just stop. My fingers tightened around the spoon handle until they trembled slightly. I felt flushed with embarrassment. I'd never been told I was cute for just eating a meal. Never in my life. So cute, I half want to crawl under the table just to eat. After dinner, Luna quietly pulled me into her room and handed me a long box. The silk fabric on the lid looked expensive. I instinctively refused it. It's not worth much. Don't worry. Inside was a feather duster. Samuel used to cause trouble all the time when he was little. Whenever things got out of hand, my husband and I would use this feather duster on him. Later, just seeing this box made him nervous. Now it's yours. If he ever acts up again, you handle him the same way. I've set our next get-together for 1 week from now. I'd originally planned to take him to my family home. Seemed more proper that way. Someone must have let the secret slip. My stepmom and dad were suddenly buzzing with energy, insisting we all join them for dinner. To be precise, they invited Samuel. The share of company profits they're getting has been shrinking lately. Once grandfather's will is read and I take over, they know exactly what to expect. I'm not some soft-hearted flower who'll cower at a threat. Grandfather made it clear before he passed. He'd never allow my stepmom or her son into the family register, nor set foot on ancestral grounds. I had no choice but to let Samuel know we were changing venues. At the table, my stepmom kept piling food onto Samuel's plate. Her makeup was practically sliding off into his bowl. I lost all appetite and slammed down my chopsticks. Michael! The guest hasn't finished eating. What kind of behavior is this? No manners at all. Dad's expression shifted faster than a windmill in a storm. He'd been grinning at Samuel just seconds before. Now he turned on me like I was the problem. Etiquette? I leaned my chin on my hand, looking at him. Failure to educate is the father's fault. This is your responsibility. If you can't stand it, go apologize at my grandfather's grave. Who do you think you're talking to? My father turned red in the face, slammed the table, and pointed at me with a trembling finger. Did he really think I was still that kid he could push around whenever he wanted? I didn't answer right away. Instead, I turned calmly to Samuel and asked, "You done?" Samuel lowered his long, lashed eyes gracefully and set down his chopsticks. In my mind, "Old man, just wait, watch how my wife handles you." I nodded once, assessed the weight, then slammed both hands down and flipped the table over. Dishes and utensils shattered across the floor in a loud clatter. My stepmother screeched like a rooster announcing dawn. "Brother, this is way too far." James glared at me, voice sharp with indignation. "Mom and Dad welcomed you into our home. How could you? Who the hell do you think you're calling brother? Got your name on the family tree yet? I don't even waste a glance on trash like that." I kept my voice low, but the edge in it was unmistakable. "The Zhong family doesn't allow bastards like you to speak. That's enough, Michael. You're going too far." To my surprise, Samuel spoke up with a lazy tone, almost annoyed. My fists tightened. If I couldn't hear his thoughts, I'd have knocked him out too. Michael's got serious edge. If it weren't for the mission and this character setup, I'd be kicking that guy's ass right now. A rotten bunch of heartless scum. Hearing Samuel's words, my stepmother's eyes lit up. She immediately went into fake concern, then smoothly stepped in to defuse the tension. It poured with rain in the evening, and Samuel and I were forced to stay here for the night. "Shall I go first? Or you?" he asked. I instinctively tilted my phone screen face down. Then it hit me. I gave a sly lift of my eyebrow. "You go first." Samuel nodded tightly, his face set in stone as he stepped into the bathroom. A low, dog-like growl echoed inside my head. A reply came through on the phone. "Mr. Michael, I need a little time to look into this." I sent back as soon as possible. Suddenly, I remembered something from the afternoon. Samuel and my stepmother, whispering together like they had secrets to hide. What could they possibly be talking about? Samuel got out of the shower fast. When he opened the door, he was already posing like a model on a runway. Does this look too obvious? I studied him carefully without giving anything away. "What are you staring at?" Samuel made a dismissive little sound, pretending to be annoyed. I let out a quiet laugh. For the first time, I found myself wondering what Samuel would do if he knew I could hear his thoughts. I felt a rare spark of mischief, stepped 2 paces closer to him. "What are you doing?" Samuel narrowed his eyes slightly. I held him in a slow, deliberate gaze. His mind screamed something like, "Asterisk, oh God, what's happening?" Asterisk, "You've got a good buoy." "What?" Samuel asked, his tone lazy and dismissive, like he couldn't care less what I had in mind. Just another pointless question to pass the time. But his body didn't lie. His fingers twitched, tugging at the bathrobe's ties without thinking. "I'm ready." I lowered my head to hide a smile and pulled out the gift box I'd set aside earlier. "Go on, take a look. Like it?" I nodded slightly, inviting him to open it. Samuel yanked off the lid in one swift motion. "Cufflinks?" His voice cracked like it had been cut short mid-sentence. You could tell he couldn't believe what he was seeing. The box held a pair of cufflink-style clasps, solid gold with both our initials engraved on them. I was gonna just pick something off the shelf and call it a day, but then I changed my mind while shopping. These were custom made by a designer I commissioned, truly one of a kind. When the designer asked what style I wanted, I wrestled with it for a while before finally settling on the cufflink design. It matched his aristocratic air and that cool demeanor he always carries. There's something about it unexpectedly thrilling. Yeah, I couldn't hide the grin in my eyes. I had them made to order, put a lot of thought into it. Like it, you went out of your way. Thanks. Samuel twitched his lips, lost control of his expression for once, plainly disappointed. A little voice in my head was sobbing. "You're so good at picking things. You pick one and he just goes silent." Farther down the table, my phone, unlocked, flashed briefly. I barely raised an eyebrow, then turned toward the bathroom. Samuel caught on immediately. "What are you doing?" "Taking a shower, obviously." I paused mid-motion. "What's wrong with your head? Your ears are red." Samuel struggled for a moment before finally getting out 2 words. "It's hot. You like the gift, just remember, it'll go perfectly with the suit you wear at your wedding." I finished speaking, turned around, and tossed my shirt into the laundry basket. As expected, I heard Samuel's flustered thoughts loud and clear. Before closing the door, I glanced at my phone, just once, with a quiet weight behind it. Meaningful. I stepped out of the bathroom and saw Samuel lying sideways on the sofa, his head resting on his arm. A blanket covered him up to his calves, his face buried in the backrest. There was something oddly pitiful about the sight. He didn't look up, but his ears twitched at the sound of me moving. "Samuel?" I paused mid-dry, my hands still on my hair. "You okay?" He gave a sound, either a hum or an MHM, that wasn't quite clear. "Too tired. Turn off the lights." His voice was thick, like it was forced up from deep in his chest. I didn't say anything. I waited 2 seconds, then realized Samuel's thoughts had gone silent too. Something's off. I didn't stop to think about my dripping hair. I moved to the sofa and crouched down beside it. "Samuel, where does it hurt?" I brushed the back of my hand across his cheek, then trailed it down to his neck. He's sweating cold sweat. "No." Samuel leaned his head weakly, letting his cheek press into my palm. "What's going on?" He was fine at dinner. A knot twisted in my chest. I reached out to pull his face toward me. He instinctively flinched away. Running from me, a restless unease burned through me, sharp and hot. Now isn't the time for him to be calling me wife like it's nothing. "Fine. Samuel sure knows how to push his luck." I grabbed the edge of Samuel's jaw and forced his face toward me. "Try to dodge me once more, and I'll throw you out the window." Samuel was half-hearted, caught between resistance and surrender. His lashes were damp, eyes blurred with unspoken anger, furious but afraid to speak. I'm not great at sensing temperature, so I couldn't tell if he was feverish. I checked both palms and back of the hand. Nothing. I gave up and cupped his face in both hands, pressing my forehead against his. "Not hot at all. No fever." I was a little puzzled. Since my mother passed away and I was brought back to the family estate to be raised as heir, I've rarely been sick. The few times I did get ill, there were always a family doctor or a maid around. I'm not really good at taking care of sick people. I was starting to feel a little frustrated and restless, about to let go when Samuel's voice suddenly came through again. "Love is so real. My wife's worried about me. Totally worth it. Help! Help!" He's so close. I can even smell his body wash. Where should my hands go? "System, say something." "System?" I felt a sudden spike in warmth beneath my palms. Samuel's eyes widened, his pupils sharp and clear. My reflection was perfectly visible in them. "Guess he's fine then." My mind finally settled a little. The touch on my hand changed. My grip on Samuel's head loosened, and my fingertips drifted over his face, brushing him lightly. "Go on, sweetheart." "What system?" As Samuel's heartbeat quickened, another voice broke through. "Host, you're really pathetic." The mechanical voice came rushing in, cold and sharp, scolding Samuel like a disappointed teacher. I kept tracing slow circles on Samuel's face, my tone careless but edged with concern. "You really okay, sweetheart? Your face is burning. You're not running a fever, are you? I'd worry if you were sick. Should we get a full checkup?" I pressed close to Samuel's ear, my breath brushing his skin in a low whisper. Now that I was so near, I could hear Samuel's conversation with the system even clearer. Piece by piece, the truth came together. Samuel was a novel quester, someone sent to rewrite my fate. In the original story, Samuel would team up with my stepmother, publicly humiliate me again, and steal every penny I had. In the end, I died broken, but the Samuel in front of me, the one on a mission, had to change my fate without betraying his role. That meant, aside from keeping his personality intact, he had to complete every step of the villainous Samuel's assigned tasks. For instance, just now while I was showering, he should have stolen my phone data and joined forces with my stepmother. But he didn't. His words were clear. "I helped you when I stood up for James's son, agreed to work with that cruel stepmother, even acted cold toward Michael like I was supposed to. But I can't actually help them take your inheritance." In the original story, seeing how those two gloated after stealing everything, it's something I just couldn't stand. No one gets to treat my wife like that. You can zap me all you want. I'm not doing it. Screw the points. The system screamed at him for being stubborn, then gave in with a huff. "Fine, I'll spend a few points on a pain blocker." Love struck fool. "Not needed," Samuel ground out through clenched teeth. Save where you can, splurge when it counts, keep the points for our future. The sooner we finish this plotline, the sooner I'm free of this lousy role. I let go and stepped back, bracing myself against Samuel's shoulder to create space between us. Didn't we agree on a full checkup? Liar. The handkerchief in his grip was nearly shredded. I couldn't quite name what I felt right then. Not many people have ever given anything to me. I'd gotten used to back and forth deals. So much so that I've forgotten how to accept kindness from someone else, especially something so pure and fierce, like love. Get some rest. I tweaked Samuel's earlobe and headed toward the bed, grabbing my phone on the way. The phone hadn't been touched. Long ago, I got burned once, so I had Anthony install a tracking app on my phone. Even if someone wiped the background data, I'd still see the logs. For a moment, I couldn't quite place the guilt rising in me. I left it there on purpose. After dinner, the private chat between my stepmother and Samuel did raise some doubt. I played along to see what Samuel would try to pull from me. In our world, this kind of test is routine. People change. Even blood brothers can turn on each other in a heartbeat. Samuel curled tighter into the couch, letting out a barely audible hum. I let out a sigh and turned back, pulling the little blanket off him. Go sleep in bed. Michael. Anthony spun around like a fluttering butterfly. The club's music was deafening, forcing him to shout right into my ear. You've been holed up at home stitching flowers. Now only Samuel can get you out of bed. Is that it? Since our last dinner together, I'd gone back to my own place and Samuel to his. I'd been buried in company matters for a while. Thanks to Samuel, I'd already suspected James and his mother were up to something improper. Hearing what was in his mind confirmed it. Saved me hours of work and wasted resources. James is reckless and deceitful. With a track record of shady moves, he's left me plenty of proof over the past weeks. I wasn't planning to leave the house when Anthony called me today, saying there was a gathering. After pulling double shifts for days, I'd rather be home in bed. But then he said it was Samuel's group. Said it was a bachelor party. I figured I might as well come. Get lost. I shot back with a laugh. How can you even say that? Heard you're thinking about turning over a new leaf. No way, man. I'm gonna keep playing until the day I die, Anthony said, finishing his drink and rolling his glass in his palm with a half-lidded glance. But lately, there's this guy who's got my attention. I raised an eyebrow, asked him to go on. Just a college kid, Anthony said, then suddenly flushed, his face turning red and pale. He's like a wild dog on the leash. Got me wound up before I even had a chance to. Never mind. There was something about that tone. Like he couldn't bring himself to say it. I clinked my glass against his, shrugging. Just keep it in check. Let's not talk about me. What about you and Samuel? Anthony gave a sly look, saying, Michael, tell me you're not actually caught in this. I didn't even lift my eyes. You haven't had a drink yet. Why are you already drunk? That's not the point. Anthony leaned in. I still don't get what you meant before, about how someone's outward personality can be totally different from their real self. And what exactly are you trying to test? I'm confused. I'd almost forgotten all about it. A couple of days ago, I was buried in work until deep night. That's when the mind tends to get carried away. Even though I can hear Samuel's thoughts, I still don't understand what he really feels about me. Is it just a game, the pursuer and the pursued? Or maybe, Anthony's been through enough relationships over the years, his emotional experience could fill 3 full A4 pag. I just want to ask him, what's a good way to test Samuel out? I guess I still overestimated this guy. I let out a sigh and turned away from Anthony's face. I can't count on you at all. Come on, I've got a foolproof idea for you. Anthony leaned in close, whispering something into my ear. I squinted as I listened. Suddenly, the guy didn't seem entirely useless after all. Anthony was a pro when it came to this. He kept getting more excited, even pulling out his phone to send me some study material. Too bad he didn't get the chance. A waiter in a vest announced that Samuel's table had invited us over. Samuel had rented out the whole bar for today. Everyone here was someone we could talk to, or their guest. Anthony and I exchanged a glance. Samuel was lounging in the center, surrounded by familiar faces. Michael's here? The guy with the ponytail beside Samuel gave me a challenging smirk. Sit down. Anthony let out a low grunt, clearly annoyed. I held Anthony back and took a seat on the opposite sofa. The ponytail guy gave me a false smile. Samuel says you two are playing your own games, but pretending to be in sync. Samuel kept his head down, sipping his drink, clearly not denying it. The bar was too loud. I couldn't catch a word of what he was thinking, but one thing was clear, this whole setup was aimed at me. Not just me and Samuel. Most people in this circle know the truth. Marriage doesn't hold a leash on a bunch of fame-hungry players, but saying it out loud, that changes everything. Samuel just slapped my face. Lots of people showed up today. Once the gathering breaks, word'll spread fast that me and Samuel aren't on good terms. I know this is probably just another task from his system, but that doesn't mean I'm not pissed off. Go ahead, then. I let out a quiet laugh. Since this is Samuel's stage, I'm just the guest. Better play along. I leaned on my elbow and swept the room with a lazy glance. Samuel kept his face blank, but the tendons in his hand tightened under the blanket. I acted like I didn't notice. Fine. Let's play. Either way, it won't be me losing out. Anthony's reaction proves he's always had my back. He clapped twice, grinning like a kid at a circus. Anthony's exaggerated reaction was clearly meant to give me some payback. I gave a nod and signaled over the waiter. The server had these delicate little deer eyes, full of admiration and pity. When he looked at you, Samuel cracked a cup over there? That's all it takes to break? Not even close. The air in the room had shifted, something off. The guy with the ponytail glanced around uneasily, trying more than once to restart the conversation. I didn't even bother lifting my eyelids. You want to play with me? Then you'd better be ready to become the appetizer. The deer-eyed server leaned in. Mr. Michael, wanna play cards? For a split second, I finally got why Anthony had stuck with young men for so long. It really is a soft place to be. I kept my expression flat and pulled back slightly. The boy's eyes dimmed with disappointment. Mr. Michael doesn't like me, does he? No, I said, just not used to it. Then that means you do like me. He smiled, eyes crinkling at the corners. I was about to answer. Then came a loud crash from over there. Samuel slammed the table down hard. He stepped in front of me, his shadow swallowing me whole. To anyone else, it looked like he was standing above me, unyielding and cold. Fiancé turning on his heel to face off. Thrilling. Michael. From this angle, only I could see the faint plea flickering in his eyes. Talk to me, he asked. Poor little dog, heartbroken. I followed Samuel all the way to the edge of the bathroom. The noisy buzz from the bar faded into the distance. Samuel turned, about to speak. Then I shoved him hard against the wall. He wasn't ready for it. His back slammed into the wall, and he cursed under his breath. Dragged me out here just to spice up an already wild night? I've been simmering all this time. I grabbed his collar and yanked it down hard. Go your way, I go mine. That's what you said, Samuel. If it weren't for everyone here today, I'd make you answer for this. Samuel's breath came uneven. He lowered his eyes to meet mine. His lips pressed into a thin line. He attacked me. His inner voice rang out clearly now. I was behaving perfectly at the bar. No distractions at all. Love fraud. I can't stand this stupid mission a single day longer. If he keeps playing games, my wife will be gone before long. You touched his face, said you liked him, and I was still sitting there. I let out a dry laugh. He set the whole thing up. Him? Samuel. He's the one who trapped me in this mess. You still have the nerve to cry. Let go first, Samuel said, his voice shaky, reaching for my wrist. We can talk this out. Talk it out. Sure. First, explain that broken system and the damn quest you set me on. I'd had too much to drink tonight. The alcohol was making my thoughts spill out. I hate this feeling of losing control. Even more, I hate caring too much about someone or something like this. Samuel's eyes were wide with shock. He couldn't even form a sentence. Wanna know how I found out? I hooked my fingers around his neck, whispering low in his ear. Sweetheart, didn't you realize? Every time your heart races, I hear your thoughts. That means every time we lock eyes, or touch, I'm inside your mind. Samuel broke down. I smiled and said, all your thoughts. Samuel sucked in a sharp breath. Want me to play along? Go back and dream about it, I said, then loosened his collar. A small weight lifted from my chest. The tension eased after turning the tide. I was about to talk things through with Samuel when a bald man stumbled out of the restroom. He saw us in that position and clearly misunderstood, flashing a sleazy grin as he rubbed his hands and stepped forward. I didn't react. I just told him to leave. The bald man seemed even more excited. "Man, I like 'em bold like you," he stammered, pulling out a wad of cash and tossing it at me. "Enough?" Before I could even respond, Samuel threw a punch. "You want more money? I'll give you 10 times, 100 times over. Still not enough?" Samuel wasn't holding back at all. I'd never seen Samuel look so dark before. The anger in him was palpable. The bald man's friends came out of the restroom, sneering and shouting, "Samuel!" I stepped in between them. "Enough!" The bald man trembled, pointing a shaking finger at Samuel. "Call the cops. Get him locked up." I forced Samuel to calm down, then walked straight toward the bald man. "Who's going to jail?" I said quietly. "Try touching him. Just try." The bar incident ended up causing quite a stir. One of the bald man's companions called the police. No one knows exactly how the Zhou family got involved. The bald man was a small supplier for one of the Zhou family's business ventures. He just signed a new contract that year and depended entirely on their support. Now he was making trouble with their son. Once he realized who Samuel was, the bald man froze. His bravado vanished in an instant. He stammered apologies, insisting it had all been a misunderstanding. No more talk of putting anyone behind bars. He kept apologizing while trying to play on sympathy, saying how hard life was for him, that he'd just lost his head in the moment. Luna was furious. Not long after, both Samuel and I were picked up. A Zhou family driver arrived to take us away. First he dropped me off at home. He hinted gently that Samuel would be getting a proper scolding once he got back. That was the last time I saw Samuel before the wedding day. We never met again. It was his silent, one-sided resistance. He didn't answer my calls, didn't reply to any messages. The anger I'd managed to calm down was building again. Wedding day finally arrived. If he tries to run away today, I'll make sure he regrets it. Samuel wouldn't dare do something like that. The ceremony went smoothly, but he kept asking what came next every few minutes, almost frantic. It wasn't until the vows that things really started to unfold. Just before stepping onto the platform, I adjusted the flower in my chest. My eyes caught Samuel standing nearby. His cufflinks were the ones I'd given him. When he saw me looking, he gave a small, hopeful smile. My mind started spinning again. Is Michael mad at me? Because I didn't answer my phone. Is he gonna call it off? Could he hear what I'm thinking right now? Let me test it. Michael calling wife. Blink left if you hear me, right if not. I blinked my right eye at him. Didn't hear it. Good. I shook my head and stepped onto the stage first. Idiot. No, that's wrong. The wedding was held at the Zhong family estate, just as the elder had wished. More members from the Zhou family showed up than expected. Once the ceremony was over, I headed back to my room since there was nothing else for me to do. Samuel's throat bobbed once, his eyes flickering as if unsure where to land. "Why re you wearing glasses today?" he murmured, barely above a whisper. "I don't need glasses much, I've only mild myopia. Wearing them makes me look like a pretentious fraud." "Today's special," I said with a slow, unreadable smile. "Better see things clearly now. Time to be honest. I've already told you everything. Just stop looking at me like that," he pleaded, stepping close and wrapping his arms around me. I listened quietly as he laid out every detail of the past. I know about the mission already, and some of the smaller pieces, too. For example, Samuel was given the task when he was very young. He chose it himself. The system told me back then what my future held. If Samuel chose not to cross paths with me, he could live his own life, free from the story's grip. He wrestled with it for a long time, and decided to stay away. As a child, he believed he didn't have the power to change someone else's fate. Once he took on the task, failing to alter my outcome would leave him with guilt and pain. After that, the Zhou and Zhong families stopped contacting each other. Luna came to see me several times in secret. She always brought Samuel with her. "I thought you must have been so lonely growing up that way, and then facing such a fate later. It just broke my heart," Samuel said, looking down. "That's when he took on the task. Because of his role, he couldn't act close to me. The mission to steal your business files was supposed to be the last one before our wedding. I didn't do it, so the system assigned another task, this time at the bar. I had to humiliate you in front of everyone, make it clear we were enemies. That's how they judge it a success. The bar incident was already part of the script, but I had to stick to the role until the wedding ended. In the original storyline, after Samuel married you, rumors spread about their poor relationship. He helped your stepmother and that scoundrel connect. His downfall came soon after, and he died not long afterward. So once the wedding was over, my role was finally free. That's why, after the vows, no matter how hard I tried to listen, I couldn't hear Samuel's thoughts anymore. I listened to his steady heartbeat and suddenly realized all those moments we'd been forced into by fate were just dust in the wind. The days after the wedding passed quietly, yet burned with warmth. Samuel no longer had to force a cold expression. In the mornings, he'd curl into my arms, nuzzle against my neck, and refuse to get up until I kissed him. In the evenings, we'd walk hand in hand around the estate, watching the sunset paint the clouds golden. He'd talk softly about how he used to sneak glances at me as a child, his secret little dreams, making me laugh until tears came. One lazy afternoon, with sunlight spilling through the windows, Samuel sat curled on the couch flipping through an old photo album. He suddenly laughed, pointing at a faded picture, me, taken from behind a tree when he was little, secretly snapping my picture during one of Luna's visits. "Look," he said, holding the album out to me, eyes shining. Back then, I already knew someday I'd stand by your side, without hiding. I leaned in to see. Sunlight caught his hair, soft and glowing like it belonged to a dream. So long ago, fate had already tilted toward us, quietly without warning.